علی عبادہ الذین اصطفیٰ اما بعد۔ خواتین کی طرف اگر آواز نہ ہو رہی ہو تو دروازے پر کھٹکھٹا کے بتا دیں، فون بزی ہے اس وقت۔ اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم وما آتاکم الرسول فخذوه وما نہاکم عنہ فانتہوا۔ صدق اللہ العظیم وبلغنا رسولہ النبی الکریم ونحن علی ذلک من الشاہدین والشاکرین والحمد للہ رب العالمین۔ پچھلے ہفتے حدیث پڑھی تھی جس میں حضور اکرم صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے کچھ حقوق کا ذکر فرمایا تھا، اور حقوق کے بارے میں عمومی طور پہ گفتگو ہم نے کی تھی۔ آج اسی کے متعلق انشاءاللہ مزید گفتگو کرنے کا ارادہ ہے۔ حقوق کا مسئلہ ایسا ہے کہ عموماً الا ماشاء اللہ خواص کی بھی نظر اس طرف نہیں ہوتی کہ اللہ تعالیٰ کے معاملے میں عبادات کرنا، نوافل پڑھنا، اس کو تو ہر ایک سمجھتا ہے کہ بڑی کام کی چیز ہے اور بڑی قرب کی چیز ہے، اور خواتین میں بھی یہ دیکھا گیا ہے کہ نوافل پڑھنا، وظیفے کرنا، اذکار کرنا، اس پہ بڑی اہمیت ہوتی ہے، بڑا زور ہوتا ہے۔ لیکن ہمارا دین صرف اور صرف نماز، روزے، حج، زکوٰۃ اس کا نام نہیں ہے۔ میں اکثر عرض کرتا ہوں کہ یہ ایک بڑی آج کل ایک بڑی غلط فہمی پھیلی ہوئی ہے کہ دین اسلام جو ہے وہ بس 5 چیزوں کا نام ہے، وہ کر لی جائے تو ہم اچھے مسلمان بن گئے۔ یہاں چرچ کے بھی کچھ لوگ آئے تھے، انہوں نے بھی اسی قسم کی اپنی رائے کا اظہار کیا تھا کہ بھائی اسلام تو بڑا آسان مذہب ہے، بس یہ 5 چیزیں ہیں، یہ کر لو تو اچھے مسلمان بن گئے۔ ایسا نہیں ہے۔ اللہ تعالیٰ اور اللہ تعالیٰ کے نبی صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے، اللہ تعالیٰ نے حضور اکرم صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم کے ذریعے جو دین ہم کو دیا ہے وہ پوری زندگی کا لائحہ عمل ہے۔ پوری زندگی، اس کا زندگی کا کوئی بھی پہلو ایسا نہیں ہے جو
آواز نہیں آ رہی ہے۔
دو اسپیکر کے والیوم ہے، دیکھو ذرا نظام صحیح کر رہا ہے نہیں کرنا۔ اللہ اعلم۔ یہ نیا تماشا شروع آئی ہے۔ تو دین اسلام جو حضور اکرم صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے شریعت دی ہے، اس میں کوئی بھی پہلو ایسا نہیں ہے جو چھوڑ دیا گیا ہو۔ ایسا نہیں ہے کہ بس تم نماز پڑھ لو اور یہ ہے، کوئی بھی پہلو ایسا نہیں ہے کہ جس کو چھوڑ دیا گیا ہو کہ بس خاص چیزیں بتا دی گئی وہ کر لو اور مسلمان بن گئے۔ ایسی بات نہیں ہے، بلکہ اگر دیکھا جائے، میں اکثر عرض کرتا رہتا ہوں کہ نماز، روزہ، حج، زکوٰۃ یہ سب ایک خاص وقت میں کی جاتی ہیں۔ مثال کے طور پر نماز ہے، 5 وقت کی نماز اللہ تعالیٰ نے فرض فرما دی، اور اس کے بعد جو ایکسٹرا نوافل پڑھنا چاہے وہ پڑھ سکتا ہے، لیکن دن کے خاص اوقات ایسے ہیں کہ جن میں اجازت نہیں ہے نماز پڑھنے کی۔ اسی طرح روزہ ہے، رمضان کے روزے تو ہیں ہی، وہ کتاب الصوم ہی چل رہی ہے، اس کے علاوہ نفلی روزے جو ہم پڑھیں گے، لیکن اس کے بعد پھر جو جتنے چاہے نفلی روزے رکھ سکتا ہے، ٹھیک ہے اجازت تو ہے، لیکن بعض دن سال کے ایسے ہیں کہ جن میں سخت ممنوع ہے، اللہ تعالیٰ کی طرف سے حرام فرمایا گیا۔ مثال کے طور پہ عید الفطر کا دن، عید الاضحیٰ کے 3 دن اور چوتھا دن بھی۔ تو بہرحال حج وہ سال میں ایک دفعہ ہی ہوتا ہے، اس کے علاوہ کتنے ہی عرصے کوئی منی میں رہے، قیام کرے اور عرفات میں رہے اور مزدلفہ جائے، لیکن وہ حج نہیں کاؤنٹ ہوگا۔ اسی طرح زکوٰۃ، جو اصل زکوٰۃ ہے، جو فرض زکوٰۃ ہے، وہ تو سال میں ایک دفعہ ہی ہے۔ باقی نفلی صدقات دیے جا سکتے ہیں، لیکن اس میں بھی اللہ نے پابندی لگائی ہے۔ کوئی ایسا نہیں کر سکتا کہ صدقے میں سارا مال و دولت دے دیا اپنا اور پھر فقیر بن کے سڑک پہ آ گیا۔ تو ہر چیز میں اللہ تعالیٰ نے لمٹ لگائی ہے۔ اور دین وہ ہماری پوری زندگی کے لیے ہے۔ تو جس ٹائم پہ ہم نماز نہیں پڑھ رہے اور سال کے پورے حصے میں جب ہم زکوٰۃ دے چکے، حج کر چکے، تو پھر اس کے بعد ہم کیسے مسلمان ہیں، کس طور سے مسلمان ہیں، کس درجے میں مسلمان ہیں۔ تو دین دراصل صرف ان 5 چیزوں کا نام نہیں ہے، بلکہ یہ 5 چیزیں اصل میں دین کے ایک شعبے کی 5 چیزیں ہیں، اور اس شعبے میں بھی اور بہت سی چیزیں موجود ہیں۔ So what I'm saying is that our deen, the deen that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given, it is not restricted only to a very few things that we consider, unfortunately, that this is our deen. For example, prayers, zakat, hajj, nafil ibadat, these kind of things, we consider that if somebody does those, they're a really good Muslim. But the reality of the matter is that the deen that the Prophet ﷺ has given to us, it's a complete code of life, complete code of conduct. So it is not possible that we'll only talk about certain things and leave aside many other things and will let us do whatever we wish to do. So the complete code of conduct has directions about everything, every aspect of life. And huquq, the rights, are a very big, huge branch of deen, a big branch of deen. In fact, there is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ was told about a woman. She does a lot of ibadat, a lot of nawafil, paraphrasing the hadith. But the Prophet ﷺ was told that she is a bad-mannered person. A bad-mannered person. So her neighbor is not happy, they are not safe. Similarly, she is very harsh of tongue. The Prophet ﷺ said that she is in hellfire. Although she is doing what? Many nawafil, excessive nawafil, remains busy in ibadat whole night, fast during the day. But the Prophet ﷺ is saying she is in hellfire. Then the Prophet ﷺ is told about another woman that she does not do many ibadat, she just does the basic things. But her neighbor is safe and she is a polite person. She does not harm people with her tongue. Essentially, the Prophet ﷺ says she is in heaven. She is going to heaven. From this hadith we learn that ibadat, they have their own place, of course, but the rights of people and the rights of creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are also very important. In fact, Hazrat Hakim al-Ummat Ma'arif Shah Thanvi rahmatullahi alayhi has written that the rights of Allah Himself, Allah will forgive if He wants. Allah will forgive if He wants. This is not an invitation that we should stop fulfilling the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The faraiz are there, we have to do those. The wajibat, we have to do those. But the rights of people and the rights of creations, until and unless the creation forgives it, that is a burden, that is a responsibility that we are carrying on our shoulders. And it is such a serious thing that our nawafil will not save us. Our ibadat will not save us if we are not fulfilling the rights. And may Allah protect us. This is the confusion that we have, that दीनदार उसको समझा जाता है जो मस्जिद में आता जाता हो और जिसकी शक्ल पे दाढ़ी हो और जो नवाफिल पढ़ता हो. बाकी उसके मामलात कैसे हैं, उसका अखलाक कैसा है, उसके किरदार कैसे हैं, वो लोगों से बात कैसे करता है, अल-इयाज़ु बिल्लाह, इन चीज़ों को बिल्कुल भी अहमियत नहीं दी जाती. जबकि हमारे सिलसिले खुसूसन हज़रत मौलाना शरीफ साहब थानवी रहमतुल्लाहि अलैहि और हज़रत आरिफ बिल्लाह डॉक्टर अब्दुल हई साहब आरिफी रहमतुल्लाहि अलैहि, उनकी तालीमात में जा बजा इस चीज़ का ज़ोर मिलता है. हज़रत फरमाते हैं कि हज़रत के एक मलफूज़ हम पढ़ भी चुके हैं मजालिस में, कि कोई शख्स जो आखिरी वक्त में मस्जिद में दाखिल हो, आखिरी वक्त में मस्जिद में दाखिल हो, अपनी दुकान में मसरूफ़ था, जो भी था, आखिरी वक्त में मस्जिद में दाखिल हुआ और फ़र्ज़ अदा किया और चला गया, लेकिन हुकूक़ुल इबाद का ख्याल रखता है, लोगों के हुकूक़ का ख्याल रखता है, किसी को तकलीफ़ नहीं देता, अपनी ज़ात से किसी को तकलीफ़ नहीं होने देता. ऐसा शख्स पहली सफ़ के उस नमाजी से बेहतर है जिसके अखलाक अच्छे ना हो, जो लोगों के हुकूक़ का ख्याल ना रखता हो. द पर्सन हु कम्स एट द वेरी लास्ट मोमेंट इन द मस्जिद एंड प्रेज फ़र्ज़ विद जमात एंड ही हैज़ टू लीव बिकॉज ही हैज़ सम बिजनेस और व्हाटएवर गोइंग ऑन, but he takes care of the rights of people, the rights of the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Such a person is a better Muslim than that person who is always in the first row but does not care about the rights of the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our Nabi, our beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, used to care about the rights of the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much that there's famous hadith that we have heard about, that somebody is being cruel to their animal, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is intervening. Somebody is taking the children, the small chicks or the small birds away from their mother, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling, put it back immediately. In fact, so much so that there is a narration that Hazrat Hakim al-Ummat Ma'arif Shah Thanvi rahmatullahi alayhi has quoted. He has said that once the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw that there was a camel that was going and the load was not properly balanced. The load was not properly balanced. It was more towards the anterior, more towards the front of the camel rather than towards the back of the camel. The Prophet ﷺ called the owner and said that put the load appropriately, the animal is having trouble in walking, in moving. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So therefore, we have to be very particular about these rights. We have to be very particular about these rights. Without these rights, we have, Hazrat Hakim ul Ummat Muhammad Shah Thani has written that when you want to become a wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, become a friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as far as the matter goes about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are dealing with a Kareem. You are dealing with a Kareem. Kareem से मामला आसान है. करीम थोड़ी सी मेहनत, थोड़ी सी कोशिश, थोड़ी सी दुआ पे अपनी विलायत इनायत फरमा देते हैं, अपनी दोस्ती इनायत फरमा देते हैं. बट जब बात है मखलूक़ात की, तो मखलूक़ात से अपना मामला सीधा करना वो इतना आसान नहीं है, और उसमें मेहनत चाहिए होती है, उसमें मुजाहदा चाहिए होता है. लोगों की कड़वी कसैली बातें भी बर्दाश्त करनी पड़ती हैं, और लोगों के अपनी जान, अपना माल, अपनी सलाहियत लगाकर लोगों के हुकूक अदा करने पड़ते हैं. तब जाके अल्लाह ताला का मामला विलायत का चलता रहता है. वरना विलायत मिल तो जाती है, फिर ज़ाया हो जाती है, फिर मिल जाती है, फिर ज़ाया हो जाती है. तो अल्लाह ताला हमको उससे महफूज फरमाए. हज़रत हकीम उल उम्मत, आई वाज कोटिंग a quote of Hज़रत हकीम उल उम्मत मौलाना शरीफ साहब थानी रहमतुल्लाह अलैह, that when you are talking about friendship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, something vilayat which you consider very high, then it is very easy to get, because you are dealing with a Kareem. Kareem is somebody who likes to give without the receiver deserving it. So when you are talking about getting vilayat or friendship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's very easy. With a little effort, with a little asking, Allah gives His friendship. But to maintain it, but to keep it going, you need to make sure that you are fulfilling the rights of the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The rights of the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if those are not fulfilled, then the vilayat is taken away. The vilayat is snatched. The vilayat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes away. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us tawfiq. The reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given precedence of the rights of ibad and the creation over His own rights, it comes to mind that Allah is great, Allah is the most honorable. Then His rights, they should be the most that we should be worried about, right? His rights, what हुकूक़ुल्लाह जिसको हम कहा कहते हैं कि अल्लाह के हुकूक़, उनके बारे में सबसे ज़्यादा परेशानी होनी चाहिए थी, उनका मामला सबसे ज़्यादा ख़तरनाक होना चाहिए था. लेकिन हुकूक़ुल इबाद का मामला ज़्यादा ख़तरनाक है. जैसे किसी औरत की मिसाल से पता चल रहा है कि हुकूक़ुल्लाह अदा करने के बावजूद वो औरत जहन्नम में जाएगी. तो मालूम हुआ कि हुकूक़ुल्लाह से हुकूक़ुल इबाद ज़्यादा अहम है. इसके हज़रत हकीम उल उम्मत मौलाना शरीफ साहब थानवी रहमतुल्लाह अलैह ने दो जवाबात लिखे हैं. एक तो ये कि जो आसान सी बात है समझने के लिए, वो ये कि हुकूक़ुल इबाद भी दरअसल हुकूक़ुल्लाह है. अल्लाह ताला की मखलूक़ात के हुकूक़ अदा करना वो भी दरअसल अल्लाह ही का हक़ है. क्यों? क्योंकि उनको बनाने वाले भी अल्लाह ताला हैं और उनके हुकूक़ तय फरमाने वाले भी अल्लाह ताला हैं. तो दरअसल हुक्म उसी हाकिम का है. सो वन आंसर टू दिस, व्हिच आई थिंक वी आल्सो मेंशन लास्ट टाइम, इज़ दैट the reason why the rights of creation have precedence over the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the reason is that number one, the rights of creation have been ordained, have been commanded by the Creator Himself. So in reality they are also the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Someone cannot be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without fulfilling the rights of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second thing, which is a little finer, is that in reality haqq is that which, if not fulfilled, causes a damage, causes a loss to the one who is not given their right. हक़ क्या है? हक़ ये है कि अगर अदा ना किया जाए तो जिसका हक़ है उसको ज़रर होगा. He will be harmed. And our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that if the whole humanity wants to do kufr, they are responsible for their own kufr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not really care. Nobody can harm Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And haqq is, when you don't fulfill it, it causes harm to the one whose haqq is not fulfilled. So therefore, in reality, the rights that Allah has called as the rights of Allah, they are in reality our own rights. They are in reality our own rights. We pray salah for our own self. We pay zakat for our own self. We do ibadat for our own self. Because if we did not do those, the biggest harm would be of ours. The only harm would be of ours. We will not do any harm to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in reality, huququllah are also huququn nafs, are the rights of our own self. They are not really the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But just like a small child, when the parents want them to study, for example, and they don't want to study, then a father who does not care, he might say, "Padhte ho to padho, warna bhad mein jao." Right? If you want to study, study. Not go to, I don't want to use the H word, right? But if the father is caring and a responsible father, then what he would do? He would say, "Take the class, I'll give you some money." Right? Hey? Do this for me. Do this for me. Do this for me. This is the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said it. Huququllah. Do this. Allah is so kareem, so merciful, that He does not want us to lose out on fulfilling our own rights. That is why He is saying that do these for me. Do these for me. If you do not pray, you will go crazy. If you do not remember me, you will go crazy. If you do not do your ibadat, you will go crazy. So therefore do these for me. Out of mercy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying it. In reality, they are all for our own self. So anyway, fulfilling these rights. Now this hadith mentions about some rights of certain. So there, I intended to, inshallah, read a list of rights that have been mentioned by Hazrat Qibla Maulana Sharif Sahib Thanvi Rahmatullahi Alayhi about each particular of these creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we are living with responsibility. Of course, there might be more rights, but we need to, inshallah, at least fulfill at least these. So when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Inna li zawjika alayka haqqa," these are the rights of the wife over a husband. The rights of a wife over a husband. Number one, good attitude. Good attitude. Dealing with her nicely. That's a right of every human being, particularly so our wife. Second, tolerance. Tolerance. The way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created His creations, everybody, all creations have their own particular nature, and they have their own benefits, and also some things are disagreeable. When something disagreeable happens, then it is a right that within limits, a husband, a man is supposed to bear and tolerate that itidal ke saath, ba-itidal. So, not too much. Hazrat Mullah Jeevan Rahmatullahi Alayhi was a famous scholar, and his story is written that his job, a man's job is that if the wife is doing major damage constantly, then it has to be informed to her at least, as much as our relationship allows. So his wife was very, very, we could almost qualify for cruel. She was a cruel lady basically. So Hazrat, whenever she would ruin the food, he considered his responsibility that I have to tell her at least. And the way he would do so is that before starting his class, his students will be waiting outside, and Hazrat will go to the roof and then tell his wife that last night the food was such and such, and immediately jump from the roof, and his students will be ready to catch him, because if he only wasted one moment, the wife would throw something at him. So this was his pre-planned activity, the pre-planned way of telling. So एतदाल के साथ अज़ियत बर्दाश्त करना, बहरहाल. Then in our honor, we should also keep a balanced way, not be too doubtful, and also do not leave them totally open, that wherever they are going, halal, haram places where they were going, we don't care. That should not be the case. Also, we should not be too worried about our honor that even in tiny little things we are constantly looking at them with doubt. Similarly, on spending, we should not be miserly. But we should not be spendthrift either. So again, itidal, median way of spending on the wife. Not that we are ourselves spending on our things that we like. For example, men like to spend on cars, right? Men like to spend generally on things that they like. But when the woman wants to spend on something, the man remembers Allah. Like, yeah, this is being spendthrift, this is needless. So have a median way. Do not be spendthrift yourself, and do not let them be spendthrift either, but do not be a miserly, stingy person yourself, or do not be miserly when spending on them. Then the necessary teachings of deen, one should learn that their own self as well, and also it is a right of our spouse, our wife upon us, that we also teach them basic teachings of deen, and also make sure, encourage them to fulfill the basic commands of deen, for example, namaz, roza, and prohibit them from prohibited things. Then if somebody has more than one, it is very important that they keep them in the same level in every regard. So they should be in rights, they should be in equality. Then there is some other rights that we all understand, which is to maintain relationship with them as needed and give them a house as needed. Fulfill a house, a place of living, not a house, but a place of living that is technically that suffices. So that the minimum is that they should at least have their own room, they should at least have their own kitchen if they want, and their entrance and exit should be independent as well. So in our houses it happens, and whatever is the ruling of Sharia, that is there. We like joint family system, and some places we are fierce about being independent. Depending on the culture of the family, the norm of the family, both are allowed and both have their own benefits and harms. But even if we are living together, then it is necessary that they have their own room, their own kitchen if possible, and their own entrance and exit, an independent one. होता ये है, बहरहाल होता ये है कि नेक ख़ानदानों में भी, अच्छे ख़ानदानों में भी इन मामलात में कुछ कोताही हो जाती है, और इंसान को पता भी नहीं होता कि वो क्या कर रहा है, लेकिन बाद मामलात में कोताही हो जाती है. बहरहाल then the secrets of a wife should not be publicly, openly told. Then the rights of a husband, and this is not a comprehensive list, but these are the ones that at least we should, relevant to our society, at least we should be careful about these at least. Then the rights of a husband over their wife. The first right is that in every matter, the wife has to be obedient to the husband. We cannot change this. No matter how much our sisters or our brothers dislike it, we cannot change it. Whatever is the command of Allah and Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is the command of Allah and Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We cannot change it. The Quran has made men leaders, and there is reason behind it. It does not mean that men are a better creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Men have been given more responsibility. And for this reason they have been given more control. So the first right of a husband is that the woman listens to their husband and obeys them. Except if the husband tells them to do something which is against the command of Allah, something which is haram, then in that matter politely refuse. They are supposed to politely refuse, but not be impolite. Then the other right of a woman over the husband is that their food and their basic needs should be fulfilled by the husband. But the right of the husband is that in that fulfillment, the woman should not demand too much. It should not be like that the husband does not earn too much and the wife is constantly bugging them to earn more or to spend more. If he's taking care of the basic rights, then this should be enough. And both of them, depending on their financial situation, they should be happy with it. एक लतीफ़ा याद आया कि वो हज़रत हकीम उल उम्मत ने लिखा है अमसाल इबरत में कि एक ख़ातून थी और उनका एक शौहर था, और वो जो शौहर था वो हर रात बिस्तर गीला कर देता था, तो सुबह बेचारी को हर रोज़ सफाई करनी पड़ती थी, और वो फिर कहती थी कि कम वक़्त तो किसी काम का तो है नहीं, और बिस्तर भी गीला कर देता, रोज़ाना भी सफाई भी करनी पड़ती है, तो क्या वजह क्या है? उसने कहा कि बेगम, मैं रात को जब सोता हूँ तो मेरे पास तो शैतान आता है, ये कोई आदमी आता है और कहता है कि चल तुझे मैं बहुत सारा ख़जाना दूंगा, वहाँ चल, बहुत बड़ा ख़जाना है, मेरे साथ चल। तो मैं कहता हूँ अच्छा चलो मैं तैयार होकर आता हूँ, मैं बाथरूम जाता हूँ, फिर वहीं फारिग हो जाता हूँ। तो बीवी जो थी वो ज़रा लालची थी, कहने लगी अच्छा ये बात है, शैतान तुझे ख़जाना देने के लिए आता है, तो आज ऐसा कीजिए किसके साथ चला जाइए, कोई बात नहीं, तू चला जाइए और ख़जाना लेके आइयो। तो रात हुई, वो सो गए, तो अगली सुबह जो उठे तो न सिर्फ ये कि नंबर 1 बल्कि नंबर 2 भी था। तो बीवी कहने लगी कि कम वक्त तो ख़जाना वगैरह तो कुछ लाया नहीं और ये मेरे लिए तूने जमा कर दिया। तो कहने लगा कि बेगम हुआ ये कि शैतान आया, मैंने उससे कहा कि आज मैं बाथरूम नहीं जाऊंगा, चलते हैं, आज बाथरूम नहीं जाऊंगा। बेगम ने कहा जाके ख़जाना लूँ। तो मैं उसके साथ चला, वहाँ गया तो बड़ा ख़जाना था, मुझे एक जगह लिया, बहुत बड़ा ख़जाना था। अब वो जो ख़जाना मैं उठाने लगा तो वो इतना भारी था कि मुझसे उठाया नहीं गया। और मैं तो बहरहाल ना बीवी को ख़ुद दुनिया के पीछे भागना चाहिए ज़्यादा, ना शौहर को भगाना चाहिए। हकीकत इनकी फिल हकीकत इनकी यही हकीकत है। हम जो खाते हैं, जो पीते हैं, बिलाखिर वो क्या बन जाता है, बिलाखिर उसका क्या अंजाम होता है। सो वट एवर वी ईट एंड वट एवर वी ड्रिंक, द वर्ल्डली पोजेशंस दैट वी हैव, नीदर द वाइफ शुड रन आफ्टर इट टू मच, nor should the husband run after it too much, nor should the wife make the husband run after it too much. I told a joke, but it's not like I cannot do justice to it in English. Behral. Then, without permission of the husband or those people that the husband dislikes, that they come into the house, then it is not allowed for the wife to let those people in the house. So sometimes what happens is that husbands do not like someone's coming, but the wife is still, because of the the demands of the society, sometimes maintains those relationships. Those relationships are not allowed. If the husband does not like for someone to come into the house, then it's not allowed for the wife to invite them or bring them into the house. Similarly, a wife, when she goes out of the house or the dwelling, wherever they are living, she should have the permission of the husband. Without the permission of the husband, she should not go without the permission. Similarly, whatever does not belong to her, what belongs to the husband, she cannot do sadaqah from it. She cannot give it to anyone. So in the spending of the husband's wealth, a woman is bound to make sure that she has the permission of the husband. Nafil salah or fasting without the permission of the husband is not allowed. Nafil ibadat without the permission of the husband are not allowed. When the husband calls, the wife should not turn away. The husband should not be considered inferior or disgraced because of a lack of beauty or lack of wealth. अगर खाविंद बेवजह इफलास या बदसूरती के उसको हकीर ना समझा जाए. So the women should not consider their husband inferior or disgrace them, disrespect them because they are not good looking or because they do not have enough money as the woman likes. If she sees that the husband is doing something against the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then politely, with wisdom, she should mention it to the husband and try to stop their husband. Similarly, do not take the name of the husband. This is a norm. It used to be a norm in our families, but if it's not anymore and the husband is also happy with it, if the husband also likes it that way, then it's allowed. Then another thing is that before someone else, do not mention the shortcomings of your husband. Just like a husband should not mention the shortcomings of their wife before someone else, the wife should also not mention the shortcomings, the deficiencies of their husband before other people, particularly other women and stuff, should not be, which is the norm. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Similarly, do not argue with the husband. Be wise. Generally, women have this, that they are able to get what they want. They have their ways. So be wise, but do not be rude. Anyway, then some other rights that we neglect. As the Prophet ﷺ has also mentioned in the hadith, inna li zawrika alayka haqqa. So what are the rights of the guest? Number one, when the guest comes, one should greet them with an open face, welcome them. Should not be like that we express our displeasure over their coming, particularly if it's pre-planned. As they are going, as they are leaving, at least accompany them to your door, up to your door. Also, when they are staying, then arrange for their comfort. And it is best that a person themselves with their own hand serves their guest. And at least for one day, prepare for their food if they are staying. Beyond 3 days, the guest should really think that am I still welcome? Beyond 3 days, if the guest chooses to stay, then this is the ihsan of the host. Friends of the rights of friends. Number one, before making a friend, we should make sure that they have the right aqaid. They have the right understanding of deen, and they will be a good company. They will leave some good effects on us. Then with their wealth, when you find such a friend and you make them a friend, then it is their right that with your wealth and with your life you serve them. You do not hold back your life and your wealth when they need it. When some rift appears, when some differences appear, when there is an argument, or they do something with which there's a difference between you and them, and you are drifting apart, then try to forget about it. If they have done something that you do not like, try to forget about it and repair the relationships with them. Give them good advice. Similarly, when we are living in a society where we interact with non-Muslims, then non-Muslims also have rights upon us. And without them deserving, which means that without them having done any damage to us, we are not allowed to do any damage to them, either in matters of wealth or life, of course. So we cannot basically damage their things or damage their property or their car or do things that they do not deserve. They have not done anything, we are not taking that revenge, then it's not allowed. Similarly, we should talk nicely to them. Unless there is a Shari reason, we should talk generally nicely to them. And if we see any non-Muslim in an affliction, in a hardship, then it is their right as a human that we help them out. If they need food, we should give them food. If they need water, we should give them water. If they need help in healthcare, we should provide help in healthcare. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us understanding, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us action over what was said and heard. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Keep it here, whatever. अच्छा, तो ये तो हो गया. अब इंशाल्लाह आगे फिर किताब सौम अगली दफ़ा अल्लाह ने चाहा तो पूरी करेंगे. थोड़ा सा जिक्र कर लेते हैं इंशाल्लाह. पिछली दफ़ा जो जिक्र कराया था वो एक ज़रब वाला. लास्ट टाइम द जिक्र दैट वी डिड, देयर वाज वन सिंगल स्ट्राइक, which is that a person imagines that they are striking their heart with the name of Allah, and the nur of Allah himself is entering their heart. इसी तरह हमारे मशाइख़ चिश्त में और भी ज़िक्र के तरीक़े हैं. सबसे पहला ज़िक्र जो बताया जाता है अमूमन वो नफीस बात का है कि जिसमें ये तसव्वुर हो कि गैरुल्लाह को दिल से निकाला जा रहा है और अल्लाह ताला के नूर को दिल में दाखिल किया जा रहा है. सो दैट इज़ द ज़िक्र ऑफ negation and then assertion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So negation of everything else apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is essentially La ilaha illallah. La ilaha is the negation and pushing away and cleansing and sweeping our heart, in the words of my Hazrat, that as if we are, हम जैसे झाड़ू लगा रहे हो, we are sweeping our heart and cleansing it of all the things apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then illallah, forcefully we strike the name of Allah with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that the noor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enters our heart. So inshallah that we will do today. और उसके साथ साथ हज़रत ख्वाजा हसन मजूब रहमतुल्लाह अलैह इनके चंद अशार ये भी साथ साथ पढ़ लेंगे, ताकि जिनको उर्दू समझ में आती हो उनको उसका मुराबा भी हासिल हो, इंशाल्लाह उसकी सोच भी हासिल हो. अच्छा, बैठने का द वे ऑफ सिटिंग, द प्रॉपर वे ऑफ सिटिंग इज़ दैट यू as my Hazrat told me, and he was told by Hazrat Maulana Yahya Madni Rahmatullahi Alayhi, is that you take I'll explain it in detail today, that you take the big toe of the right foot and the biggest finger of the right foot, and catch the ligament that runs under the left knee. Between these two, like a scissor or a forceps, catch that ligament, and then when you say La ilaha, then you pass your neck like this, La ilaha illallah, La ilaha, La ilaha. So this is sweeping the heart from everything apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then forcefully say Illallah, the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is entering. Now, because we do not do it frequently, and we do it sometimes, and most of the times we don't do it, therefore I repeat those ahadith which have the proof of loud zikr. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I mentioned it during Ramadan as well, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that remember Allah, do the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so much that people start calling you majnoon, crazy. And nobody calls somebody who does quiet zikr majnoon. Quiet zikr does not attract this title of majnoon from anybody. Majnoon will be that person, crazy we will call that person who remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loudly. Similarly, zikr in gathering, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us to the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam that whoever remembers me alone, Allah remembers them in solitude. Whoever remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a gathering, Allah remembers them in a better gathering. Therefore, do not be ashamed, do not be shy of remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the reason why we turn off the lights as well, not all of them, just we turn down the lights a little, so that we can lose our compulsions and our status and our whatever we have that we are carrying with us that does not mean anything, and lose ourselves and remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My Hazrat says that you listen to so many music, so many kinds of music, and that beat and this beat and that, and you are never worried about that. What about if you strike your heart with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is the harm in doing that? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us tawfiq, inshallah. Those who want to do it, jazakallah, you can do it with me, and if not, there is no compulsion, there is no expectation from you. So if you want to leave, that's totally fine as well. No hard feelings at all, inshallah. And if you want to stay and just listen, that's totally fine too. Sisters don't do loud zikr. Sisters don't. Khawateen ka zikr jahri nahi hota. Sisters do it quietly in their heart. और दुरूद शरीफ पढ़ लीजिए। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना व मौलाना मुहम्मद व अला आलिहि व अस्हाबिहि व बारक व सल्लम तस्लीमन कसीरन कसीरा। You can turn on the recording.